Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's well, hope everyone's having a nice week, and nice to see a bit of sunlight again for the change. So what I thought we'd do in today's video, I've been tagged by good YouTube buddy Rick T, so cheers Rick, I hope you're keeping well there mate. And the tag itself is to make a little bit of furniture, whether for something around camp or just a bushcraft project, something like that. And on Rick's video he made a real nice chair, the one where you make two triangles and slot one of them through, and he made a nice stable chair for his camp. So what I've done today, I was down at my mate's fishery the other day and he was clearing away one of the carp pools, so I scrounged a little bit of timber off him, which we'll run through in a second. So what I thought we were going to do in today's video is make a little bit of a table. So the timber which we're going to be using for today's project, I've got three different sorts here. I've got some hazel, I've got some sycamore, and I've also got some willow. Like I was saying, these were the kind of things which he was clearing away from around the side of the lake. And when it comes to selecting your timber, I was looking for something as straight as possible, hence the reason for the majority of it being hazel, but you know, it is quite difficult, so we may have to make some kind of adjustments. And then I've just slung it in the old canoe pack, absolutely awesome pack, bomb proof. You know, there's no worry about any of these straps giving away or whatever may happen to it. You know, I was carrying quite a bit of weight and timber today, and also I brought a small selection of tools. So I'm going to run through how we're going to make the table. I haven't really figured it out yet. I just thought I'd come up and just have a play about and just try one or two things, and at the end of the day hopefully it might turn out okay. So where we are at the moment, this is where I did that overnight camp, and I am thinking about making a few little bits of furniture myself and perhaps just establishing the camp itself. So once I've done this table, you know, this is going to stay up here anyway. So we have got one or two ideas in mind. Like I said, the majority of it is just going to be playing about and seeing what works and what doesn't. But I have drawn just a few little rough diagrams. And the idea behind it is I'm going to use more notches and pegs and dowels and that kind of thing. I want it to be, you know, so it can be moved about, just a little bit more sturdier. I have made them in the past just with bits of scrap wood, just using the forks and just slotting wood across and that kind of thing. But this one to be moved about, you know, depending if I want to use it under the tarp or perhaps out in the sun. So I've got the tools just on the top there. If I wanted to, I could probably just use a Swiss Army knife, but knowing how hard this hazel is to carve sometimes, I have opted for a couple of bigger knives. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the kettle on and make a quick brew. That's compulsory before any kind of job, and then we'll crack on and get this table made. Okay, so we just cut the legs to size now, and I've cut them just under where the hip would be. I'm going to try to get something hip height if possible, but I've had to go with the shortest length and just make them all match like that. So the next thing we're going to do is find the cross pieces which is going to support everything, and then we're just going to make a start, just cutting the notches into the wood, and then start assembling some kind of frame. And so to do that, I'm just going to lay just the cross piece just across where it's going to go, just checking that things are pretty much even, and then we're just going to mark where we need to cut the notches. So I'm just going to cut either side of this stick, then we can cut into it and start removing the wood. So because these notches are going to be quite deep, there's various different ways that you can do the square notch. If the wood was a little bit softer, or perhaps the notches weren't as deep, you could just use a knife, you could just batten it in, make the other notch, batten it in, and then you could just pop it out. But like I say, because these notches are quite wide and quite deep, we're just going to use the saw. Now I'm going to go just a bit less than halfway, so just checking there that the two depths are the same. And then just to make it a little bit easier, we're just going to do intermediate cuts in between, just so that we don't shear this part off here. Just like so. And then we can get the knife, and then we can just start working this away. Okay, so that's the square notches cut into the cross pieces and also the legs. It's just a case now of just marrying everything up just to check that everything fits okay. Any other adjustments that need to be done we can do whilst we're doing the project anyway. That doesn't look too bad. Then the next process, we're just going to bore a hole straight through just using the Swiss Army knife, and then we're going to try just making a few little dowels and pegs and just fasten everything that way. So just using the reamer just on the Victorinox Farmer, you can see there that it does put quite a nice hole all the way through. It's just a case of just going from one side, and then as soon as it starts to come through the opposite side, just turn it around and then bore through the opposite side there. And the hole I'd perhaps say is around about 5mm, 6mm, something like that. And what I've also done, I brought just a little bit of seasoned birch down with me. We're going to use seasoned wood just for the little dowels, so that when everything starts to shrink as it dries, then this green wood will compress tighter around the dowels, as opposed to using green wood, you know, for the dowels themselves, and then perhaps them shrinking down and everything, you know, becoming loose again. So it's going to be a laborious process. I knew that prior to starting it, but I won't bore you by showing you every single process all the way through. So I've just got to do that a number of times now, and then we'll start making the dowels and tapping them through. Okay, so that's the 2 sets of legs made now, and there's no way that they're going to come apart, so it's now just a case of putting just the cross pieces together just to make sure that everything holds up, and then we can just put the slats across and just get the top finished. And then just rotating the stick just so that you got the best surface for when we're going to start laying the slats across the top. And sometimes it's just best just letting it naturally just roll into its best position, but this side is just a little bit flatter on the surface, so I'm just going to put these couple of notch cuts in. And we can start cutting on the way. Okay, so that's all the ends now trimmed off and everything's nice and even, and just whilst that storm passed through I've just attached just a few struts just around it, just to give it just a little bit more integral structure and just stop it from wobbling about. So when it comes to the top piece or the tabletop, what I'm going to do, I had a couple of ideas. One of those was just to shave the top and also one of the sides and get them square. Then I could do square notches just on the top pieces and that would lock together. But with them being different thicknesses and also just to make sure that everything does all together, what I'm thinking of doing is doing square notches along the tops and also in the top tabletop pieces as well. And that means then with them being different thicknesses, if I can do deeper notches in the thicker ones and then shallower notches just in the thinner sections, it just means then that the tabletop should lie just a little bit flatter, and also you will give the table just a bit more strength. So at the moment it looks like something off the Flintstones, so we must be doing something right, and yeah, there's quite a bit of weight in that, so I shan't be taking it out, and we'll be staying up here just in the camp. So there we have you guys, one table finished off, and it's not too bad. That's got a little bit of wobble in it. If I wanted to at a later date, I could perhaps just swap out some of this jute here and just pin them in with some of them wooden dowels again. But this is going to certainly hold the kind of weight I'm going to put on it, whether it's my bag, whether it's just a few bits and pieces that I want to keep out of the dirt. I've also made just a couple of levels on it, so again you can hang pots and pans just off the outside here, and if you wanted to you could store items just on the bottom as well as on the top. And like I say, just jointing these just with these square notches just means then that they're not going to roll about, and it just means then that you're not going to lose your stuff just down the centre of them. So that's everything finished off. That took around about, I'd say, 3 hours, and the majority of it was doing all these little joints, but at the end of the day it's a nice little project to do. It's nice just to keep your hand in. I just want to thank Rick for inviting me to do it. So hopefully in the next video we'll be making something else. I have had quite a few inquiries regarding the fire ring, which I carry with my little Trangia burner. So last week I ordered some stainless steel mesh from the mesh company. They have said that it will be here sometime this week. So if it is, then next week we'll get out and I'll show you how to make one of those, and I'll probably have one or two to give away. So like always guys, you just leave me to say thanks a lot for stopping by and watching the video. Like always, until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.